Hello and welcome back to my channel here in sunny California. As you can see from the video in the opening, it's as if it's spring here. It's actually very nice today, but it has been freezing at night, and it's about 60 degrees today. We have some beautiful flowers growing in the front yard. Got a few in my seed starting area that I've transplanted, and they are blooming in the garage here. But what I wanted to cover today is it's time in California to start planting spring plants, as in tomatoes and certain flowers. Now, to start with, I have several seeds that I have purchased, some of them locally at the Home Depot, and they have a couple different brands. And I ordered some online. I do order from various retailers depending on what I'm looking for. So in this case, it was Anderson Seed in Logan, Utah. And they packaged them up neatly in these little Ziploc bags. So this obviously isn't for right now. This is sweet corn called Sugar Buns Yellow, and it's been treated. Thought I'd try that. I haven't grown corn in a long time. And then I've got several other things here. I'm trying pickling cucumbers. I can't stand cucumbers raw, but I do like pickles, especially if they have some spiciness to them. So I thought, well, I've never grown them before, so I thought I'd try. So this is a pickling cucumber here. And I believe I have another one here somewhere. Yeah, here we go. Pick a bushel. Okay, so there's two varieties there. Now, another summer item, which is still too early to plant here in middle of January, is a watermelon called Triple Crown. And I've got another one here called Yellow Doll Watermelon. Now, it's a seedless, and you have to have a seeded one for it to pollinate. So I believe it's the Yellow Doll, which is seedless, and the Triple Crown, which is seeded. And by the look of the size of the seed, you can see the two sizes. I'm betting that this is the one that has seed, since they're so much bigger. Anyway, right now I'll be planting these tomatoes. So I've got Optimax 2 Roma type, a Viva Roma. Viva, I think it's supposed to be Viva Italian. And then I've got peppers, and I can see just from the shape of the seeds here. I thought this one would just be fun. The Ghost Chili Pepper. I've grown other super hot chilies before, including the Trinidad Scorpion. Well, they grew fine, and it wasn't that they were crazy. They were crazy hot. I just don't like the flavor of those varieties. So I thought I'd try this one, see if it has a good flavor. Then, of course, your tried and true jalapeno. This is supposed to be the fairly spicy version of the jalapeno, so we'll see. We got an Anaheim. Now, of course, we all know that as the green chili, famous green chili that you can use in much cooking when people can't take the heat. And but it gives really good flavor. So then we've got pepperoncini. So my son discovered he likes pepperoncini in sandwiches, so I'm going to grow them, and then I'll probably pickle some and see if we like those. Never grown those. And then Serrano. Serrano's just a a medium hot chili, around a Fresno chili. And that should be interesting. Now, for the commercial ones, I guess I just got the bug when I was in Home Depot. I couldn't wait. But I saw they just had their fresh seed order come in on their display. So I decided to try them. We got Canterbury Bells, Lupin. That looks really pretty. Delphinium. Foxglove. This does grow well here in the valley, Central California. You do have to get it going early, because a lot of these won't take the heat once the summer comes around. Now, some of these are poisonous. Both of these are. So if you have animals near that like to chew on your plants, I would not put them where it's easily accessible for them to eat, because they could be ending up very sick. So that's the only thing. Foxglove or digitalis is the plant they make the drug digitalis from. Okay, we got columbine. Columbine will also grow here. I've never grown it by seed. I purchased it already in bloom at the box stores. And it works. It grows fine through spring. As soon as it gets hot, it just shrivels up. But it's a nice spring flower. Okay, we got another tomato here, a San Marzano. So I love San Marzano tomato sauce. And I haven't had a whole lot of luck growing it. The first year I grew it, I did get enough to can. The next year, they just didn't do well. And I don't know exactly why. No, it's susceptible to blossom end rot. So that is a major problem. And I've added all the different amendments to avoid that. And they say it comes down to watering. Well, we don't have much choice here where it gets to 110 plus in the summer. You have to water every day, or it's just going to shrivel up and die. And tomatoes like deep, long watering, and then it's time between, so they're not sitting in moisture. But you can't do that, at least not where I'm at. And I do put a percentage shade cloth also to protect them from sunburn, but they still get sunburned even with the cloth. And if you put too much of the netting, then it just stunts its growth, because then it doesn't have enough sun. I think it has to do with the UV rays in that hot time of summer. It's not just the heat or sun exposure itself. So anyway, there's another one. I love sunflowers, and I haven't grown them in quite a while. And they had several varieties over there, so I decided to get this one that's called Mammoth, and it says that it can get 1 foot across on the head of it. So that's cool. I have grown those before with good success. Then we have Evening Sun. This doesn't get as big. I believe it's 8-inch diameter. Yes, and it has some neat color arrangements, almost like a cornflower or coneflower. And then this neat red one. Yeah, I was on a buying spree on seeds, so I don't have enough room to put all these out somewhere, but I'm going to try a couple and see how they'll do, because those sure are pretty looking. Another tomato. My wife loves to eat tomato fresh out of the garden, and she likes the beefsteaks. So I'm going to plant the beefsteak. She doesn't like the real sweet, small, like the grape tomatoes. And so I don't try and grow those anymore. I'm not one to eat raw tomatoes. I just don't like that raw flavor, although I do love it in salsa. So I do use my raw tomatoes in making salsa in the summer. when I have a decent crop. This past summer was so hot, tomatoes barely produced. I couldn't get them in the ground soon enough. So hopefully that's different this year. I'm going to get them out as early as I possibly can. So I've got to get these out and going. So we're going to try that. Now I got a baby leaf spinach. That will grow in spring and in early summer, but they also crispy fry in the heat. And finally, our last two, okay, summer squash. The yellow squash is my favorite for squash, and it's very easy to grow. It just needs sun and water and a little fertilizer, and it will produce like mad, as long as you don't get attacked by the aphids. Aphids love those plants. They'll just cover the leaves to where you get so many that they die. Now, I've spent some summers just spraying them off every day with a hose and could barely keep ahead of them. So some years are worse than others. Some years I've had hardly any and have wonderful crops, and some years they appear before they even start fruiting, and it's a battle the whole season. And it shortens your season because it does stunt the growth. If it doesn't kill them, it stunts them. And with the heat coming, they don't, even though it's summer squash, they don't like the extreme heat we get. You know, in most places it's summer, it's 90, 95, high 80s, and it'll thrive. So will the tomatoes, really. But when it's 100 plus, nothing thrives. Then finally, Silver Queen corn. That's a standard oldie but goodie. I've grown Silver Queen in the past. It's a wonderful corn, and I haven't grown it in years, so kind of going back. There's a lot of varieties. There's so many different sugar level of corn. I won't go into all the nomenclatures, but you basically got super sweets, mildly sweets, and then you have one that's more corny flavor and just mildly sweet. And it just depends on your tastes. I like it as sweet as it can go. I know I'm addicted to sugar. That's why I'm diabetic. So, of course, eating this is not the best thing for diabetic, but you can't cut all the joys in life. I like growing it. I like eating it. And it is seasonal, though. It's not something I would eat throughout the year. And that is, I think, what causes some people to get these illnesses. Having the availability year-round can be a problem, because you normally wouldn't have that throughout the year. So you wouldn't eat just tons of it. I can eat a whole plate of this when it's in season. I'll get 3 years and cook them, and I'll strip them off the ear and just make a plate full. And I love it, but I shouldn't be doing that anymore. So anyway, getting back to the seeds, so that's it for what I'm going to be planting today, at least fresh from the store. There are a couple other things I have that I will plant that were from my wife had bought some and wanted to try this Supreme Cantaloupe coneflower. And coneflowers are really pretty. They do grow well here. They need a lot of sun. We have a lot of shade. Because of the heat, we planted trees strategically to shade, particularly the backyard, but the front yard a lot too. And of course, my garden space for growing vegetables and things, I don't have trees around, but it still gets shaded by the fence and by the house, and a little bit by one of our big backyard trees. So we're out of full sun space. We have to sacrifice things if you want something new. So anyway, I'll try that. And then this is a carrot seed that I got from Johnny's. And it's a pelletized seed, as you can see here. So all that does is I'm not sure what the coating is, but it makes it easier to plant them because carrot seeds are so tiny. I didn't buy them for the coating. I wanted this variety. It was Bolero. The Bolero is very reliable, and it makes it easier if you want to plant a careful straight row with controlled with these seeds. But usually I just cast them across a prepared soil, and then I sprinkle on some like topsoil, and then I just keep it wet continuously until they sprout. And as long as you do that late summer, um, it's they come up no problem. They're super easy to grow, and once they're sprouted and growing, you can just about forget them. And fresh homegrown carrots are great. Another few things, I had Big Mac's pumpkin. Uh, it looks like it was fall 2 years ago, and I did have some grow, but not in time for Halloween. So what I did was I harvested out the seeds from it, and you can see the size of these seeds. They're huge. They're fun to grow, and when I have more space in Tennessee, I'll be growing lots of this kind of stuff. I just don't have enough room here in the city. Anemones. So I've grown anemones in the front yard and harvested their seed. They're a super pretty flower, tiny little seeds with little fuzzy stuff over them, but I've saved those for replanting. Another thing I want to point out, because I'm doing tomatoes, is showing these. I'm sure you've seen these all over the internet before, but they're grafting clips, and this is for when you're grafting a different rootstock to a different top stock on your tomatoes. And the idea is that the rootstock is from more wild varieties of tomato that are stronger root-wise and more resistant to nematode. We have terrible nematodes here that make it impractical hardly to plant tomatoes. I've had varied success, and these hold the joint together, the slanted joint, and they come in different sizes. Here's a 5 millimeter, here's a 4 millimeter, and I've got one other one I think in the box. But depending on the size of your stem of the matching rootstock to the top stock, you'll use a different size clip to get the best fit. And I was successful my first time last year of getting them to grow, but it is a long process. I have grown one full tomato that I purchased that was grafted from the local University Extension uh, group in Fresno, which is about an hour away. We go to a garden show every year. Well, they have a plant sale, and I'd never heard of grafting tomato plants. So apparently, this is done all the time commercially. So I looked into it, and I thought, that's something to try. So that's what I started buying different things, of course, on Amazon, and could find these all over the place. And it's fun experiment. If you like gardening, it's fun to experiment with things. And I will do it again. And so that's about it for those seeds. I'm going to probably look through my other seeds to make sure I didn't miss anything. I have a lot of different seeds here. This is really cool. Castor bean. So super poisonous. It's poisonous, not considered toxic. That toxic is the worst. Poisonous is the next level of danger. This thing grows like mad. It loves our area. It loves the heat. It self-propagates, and I'll show you a picture of ours in the backyard right now that they came up volunteer after I got rid of the one I planted. The one I planted, it got way bigger quicker than I thought it would. and it was covering up our roses that my wife loves, and so I chopped it out and disposed of it. Well, its seeds came up that following fall, and we have one now as big as the one I chopped down. And you have to dispose that in the garbage. You don't want to put it in your recycle or your composting bin or your green waste, because it is poisonous and it needs to go in the garbage. Um, we have it behind a fence so our dogs can't get to it. I've heard of others that just have it out in their yard and they're no problem. It would kill your pets, and I love my pets too much to expose them to this if there's just a chance that they would eat on it. I mean, you're supposed to wear gloves even when you handle it. If it brushes against your skin, it won't poison you, but it will cause inflammation on your skin. So it's a beautiful plant. Unfortunately, it's kind of a dangerous plant. The other one is comfrey. I planted comfrey in my garden, and the reason for that is it's a great natural source for nitrogen in your compost. So um, it's been known to be used to create a tea and have some kind of medicinal purposes, but um, research has found that it's actually kind of poisonous to the humans too, even in tea form. So not too many people will be using this for tea anymore, but it has a pretty purple flower. It does, in some areas, get out of hand. Mine so far they are perennial, like it says here, and it kind of dies back to the ground in the winter, and then it comes back up in spring. So I haven't had no problem controlling it. Some people do. And I have put a full load of it in my compost. We'll see how that does. All right, so I'm using ProMix. Probably this is nothing new to most of you. It isn't available locally to me, so I had to order it and have it shipped. And since it's fairly expensive to ship, I went ahead and bought 4 bags. That'll do a lot of seedlings. But I that's not to say this is the best in the world. I don't so far I haven't seen that from my first use last year. Um, there are other brands that are available at the local box store. The only difference I see is this stuff wets really well. It doesn't have that hydrophobic problem where water just runs off of it. The brands in the box stores, it's a finer, fluffier stuff, and you really have to take your time wetting it because it takes forever for it to absorb moisture, whereas this takes it quickly. But the end result after growing the same plants in the same containers, seed starters, and I had 2 that had the off-brand, and I had the rest that were in the Pro Mix. And honestly, at the end, when it was time to plant them, I couldn't see any difference. Others may have um, different success with it, and that's great. I don't get supported by this company. It's not an endorsement per se. It's just what I use. And from what I've seen, a lot of other growers say they've had good luck with it. So, just like anybody, we're looking for that magic stuff to make things grow better, faster, quicker, easier. It's not cheaper, at least for me, because I can't get it locally. Now, when I get to Tennessee, it is uh, locally available. These are standard 10 by 20 trays with 6 cells per unit, and I have a humidity dome to fit over this. I've just purchased some taller ones because this time of year it's still the things I'm planting would not normally grow without help from heat mat and the enclosed seed starting racks that I have. So it's a little bit longer time before one of them have a domes on it to keep moisture in the soil. So, oranges? Oh, yeah, I'll take 4 of them. Yeah, I got a lot of it. A little neighbors trying to give me some oranges. Oranges are also in California, like Florida. And again, I'm not very successful because there's so much sun in my yard. But for helpful sun, they just grow in my backyard. They're easy to grow here. There we go. Those should be filled, but not crammed down tight. You can compress this stuff pretty tight. And the sphagnum mosses and ingredients here will compact. As you know, if you bought sphagnum moss, they compress it a whole lot in the bag. And sometimes it's hard to break it up and lose again from the bag. Oh, from your tree? Oh, okay. Oh, really? Okay. Very good. That's good neighbors. Sharing some seasonal fruit with me. So lightly pressing down my fingers. I have done this sometimes. No, I've seen different recommendations on doing this way and pressing down. Good morning. You can pack it so tight that it doesn't want to put feelings. So here's that one. You know, I won't bore you with doing the rest. Normal feed. We're just going to make this happen. All right, now to get the water. Let's look again and do it again. You can tell by the weight of these. When you pick up one, it doesn't feel very heavy. It feels lightweight. It has more water. These are no, it's not there. Like I said, this soil absorbs moisture much better. I see. Now this one, this has got the bag that I had already opened from last season, so it was much drier, and it's not absorbing the moisture. You can tell by the standing water that it's not soaking in as quickly. This, however, it's already soaked in all the way to the bottom. So letting soil dry out makes it become hydrophobic, where it won't accept water, to where it's like water repellent rather than water absorptive. And you got to let it take its time to soak in. His method to cover the topsoil with perlite, and that does a few things. It keeps the topsoil of the soil from being wet, so that it doesn't grow the moss and or algae that tends to grow from being wet constantly on the surface. And then also there's the insects that will live in the soil and the larvae will eat just the base of your little seedlings, and they'll just suddenly shrivel up and die. and they're just tiny little things the size of fleas. They're called fungus gnats, and they're attracted with the fungus that's natural in the atmosphere, in nature. And when you have something constantly moist and constantly warm, it attracts them. And those fungus gnats thrive on moist soil that's moist at the surface, and they'll kind of jump and hop around, fly around onto everything else that you're growing in your seed starting, and they're really a pain. So I have basically eliminated that using this perlite method, which I'll be showing you here in a minute, and you can see it in several videos at Lazy Dog Farm. All right, so now I'll figure out, I'm going to start with the seeds from, where is it? It's from Anderson Seed and Garden. These summertime things will have to wait. But I'm going to get these going. So all the flower things I've got, I'm going to get them going. All the tomatoes, I'm going to get them going. Probably a little too soon to get squash going. Spinach. Spinach I probably could plant. Corn's out. Sunflowers are out. But all these other flowers are, they need to be planted because they take a while to get mature. So I don't usually plant that many flowers, but I thought, what the heck? It's fun to grow by seed. So that's what we're going to do in each one of these cells. And I think I'm going to do, I got to be careful how many I do, or I won't have enough for everything I've got. Now, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different things right now. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So I've got plenty to do. I can do 2 6-packs of the coneflower, no problem. Really need to bottom water if you're not using the method with the perlite. But with the perlite, you don't have to worry about top watering. And I like that because gravity draws the water through completely through the cell, makes it moist. All right, so I've got the Supreme Coneflower in this flat. And next, what am I going to do next? I guess I'll do, since I started with flowers, I'll continue with flowers. I've got this columbine here. Well, and if you think, oh, what am I doing planting flowers and that guys aren't supposed to like flowers or something. That's ridiculous. Flowers is beauty. Colors, you may not appreciate them when you're younger, if you're a guy, but you know, there's a reason women like them. And for anything else, you do them for your lady. But I like them. I'm not afraid to say that. I like growing flowers. I like growing things to eat. I just like growing. Oh, just a moment. Okay, well, for some reason my video stopped while I was planting these seeds and putting the perlite on. So anyway, this is the end result of putting the perlite on um, to fill the cells the rest of the way after pressing down the soil in the cells. So you can see here, there's only a little bit of water in the tray, not enough that it's soaking in water. And that's what you want. You don't want it sitting in an inch of water. It will rot your seeds rather than let them sprout. So next thing to do is to get a humidity dome. This one's kind of dirty from last year, but plants don't mind. So there, that will keep the moisture in. That's what you want, is constant moist soil, not wet, not sitting in water. So that one's ready to put on the rack. I wasn't going to bore you with more planting, but since it didn't get recorded, I'm going to go with my next flat. So I do take off these bigger chunks of bark that's in the soil. Chunks of wood like this, it does not help the growth of the plant. These are just way too big. But the majority of it is nice. Maybe they can't get a mesh right for their mix to get those chunks out. And I get it. The finer it is, the less permeable it is going to be for the water. That may be why. And Canterbury bells. Russell hybrid mixed colors, it says. And this says depth a 1/4 inch. 365 days to bloom. Oh my gosh. And it says here it blooms May and June, and it's perennial. Now this says zones 4 through 7. We're zone 9B, but yet it shows here to plant from February 1st through December 31st, if that makes sense. In our area, which is Orange, California, and we're about right in the center, San Joaquin Valley. Well, that's what's fun about this, you know. You try it, and if it works, it works. I see these are big seeds here. So we'll see. This lupin grows wild in the foothills and mountains here, but I just don't know if it'll grow here or not. So we'll try it. They're cool looking. All right, I don't know where we left at when my camera went dead, but got power restored. And while I was waiting, I was looking through my other seeds, which I have several other interesting seeds already in my collection. This is called Opalka, and it's a large like sauce canning tomato. Genovese basil, California Wonder bell pepper, jalapeno M heirloom pepper. Says extra hot, and I can attest that these are quite hot. Of course, San Marzano. There's the spinach. So I've gotten, since the last time, I've got forget-me-nots in this cell, and I've got bachelor's buttons in this cell. This is Serrano chili peppers. There's only 10 seeds, so I can only put one in some of these cells. So hopefully they're very eager to grow. Come on over there. There's one. They're stuck. There it goes. Okay, that is the Serrano chili peppers. What I want to do is get them situated to where they're not right against the side of the walls of the cell. And the one that only has one seed, put it right in the middle. The others have two. So when I go to thin them, oh no, I did. All right. And finally, this is called Bolivian rainbow. So these are those decorative peppers. You can eat them, but they're real pretty. You can plant those here because they're like kind of like having a flower. Now that leaves, that's all the cells in this flat. Well, I'm just going to go lightly with the perlite. Now I'm just going to water those, and I'll put those up in the rack. Those in place and get a dome on this one. Jeez, those are still not wet enough. So I'm going to add some water to these. because they are still hydrophobic for all this time. See this, if you can see. Good grief, what is in this one? Oh, it's the rib. Okay, but see if I pull my finger out there, see it still dry as a bone below all that. So it has not soaked in at all. So once the soil like this gets completely dried out, it's a process to get it to accept water again. Well, it's time to wrap up this video. We're at about 46 minutes. So I won't go any further with the rest of the seeds, but you can see the process, and we'll be checking back on see how the seedlings do in the next few days. So thanks again as usual for watching. I appreciate you and have a good day.